Hi Pisces, this is your July 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, it's your reading. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. It's Romy here. We're opening up for you with the energy of the Hanged Man. You know, the most precious gift that you have to give yourself and others is your time. And it may be that you find through the course of July that, you know, where you were trying to make progress or, you know, putting a lot of your energy, there may be a need to take a step back, or there may be a little bit of a slowdown that takes place. We've got 4 planets shifting retrograde. As that occurs, it's an invitation to perhaps show up and be more present in an area of your life that maybe has been a little bit neglected and maybe is needing something from you in this month. And I think if you can allow yourself to surrender into that experience, it's going to be infinitely more aligned than what you perhaps would have expected, you know, because you had a current trajectory or a expectation on what needed to be achieved or what needed to get done. Perhaps the universe has other ideas a little bit. You know, it's almost like a spiritual intervention, you know, steps in for you. And you're in 5th house. So remember, you know, this is a time to rediscover things. In terms of your creativity, your passions, your pleasures. And, you know, that's not always easy against the backdrop of an increasingly chaotic collective energy. I think the other thing to remember is that, you know, this is a month where you don't need to be understood by those who have yet to fully know and understand themselves. So as you give yourself divine permission to make the choices and to direct your energy in certain ways, if you come up against the opinion or you know, impact of what other people have to say about that, there's just a reminder that the most important thing is, you know, your ability to be able to be free in being yourself, being who you truly are. Now, Neptune, your ruling planet, is going retrograde on the 4th of the month. And again, you know, there's a requirement to sort of pour back over things. You know, it's a time of reevaluation and introspection. And you might be thinking about, you know, really what is real and what's the dream here. And, you know, some very strange experiences can surface as a result of that. We've got the Wheel of Fortune coming at the 2nd major arcana to open up your month of July. So there's something underway here. And it's like we almost have to have that sacred pause in order for this to come in. So it's going to be creating a catalyst for change in some regard. Now, the big news, of course, this month is that we're going to see Uranus coming out of Taurus, shifting into Gemini at 0 degrees. This is an energy you'll be working with for the next 6 years. It's going to move at lightning speed. It's going to feel a bit disorientating. It's going to be hard to wrap your head around the swiftness with which things are going to begin to change. Now, we have a almost catch-up time when we go back into Taurus in November this year through to April 26, and you'll be able to almost like catch up with yourself a little bit, I think, during that time. But this is going to give you a flavour of what's to come. So it's very dynamic, but it's also very disruptive, and it can be quite unpredictable and even slightly shocking in the way that it's almost like awakening you and progressing and shifting and changing things, you know, specifically in Gemini from that communication, information perspective. But remember, you know, Uranus is also about this soul revolution that needs to take place. So it's fair to say in July that there will be moments where we don't know if we're coming or going, you know, because the planets going retrograde are slowing down, yet Uranus is speeding things up. We've got the 7 of Cups, and, you know, it may be that I think just the sheer swiftness of a change at the same time as feeling like you're being kind of held back in another way is a little hard to wrap your head around at times. What it will do, though, and I think this is really important to be reminded of, is that, you know, you'll be presented with more possibility and opportunity. that in itself can cause a little bit of a headache, because if you had a sort of set agenda or idea of what was going to take place, all of a sudden, that's up in the air a little bit and we have to reevaluate. Now, the good thing about this is there'll be things that are coming online that you hadn't even considered or thought about, or they're not even like on your radar. And so now all of a sudden we're in a place where we're like, oh, okay, like I didn't even think that was possible. And now it is. What does that mean? So again, we've got this energy of the Hanged Man that can be beneficial because it just gives you a little bit more time to really think through in terms of what is going to be right for the next step for me. What is going to feel like the thing that's most aligned for me. The thing to remember as well about yourself through the course of this month as we approach that full moon in Capricorn on the 10th, Pisces, is that, you are the quiet, resilient force behind all that you're trying to do and all that you're trying to create in this life. And I don't want you to underestimate the magnitude of that, because you might not always shout about it. You might not always let people know what it's taken, or what it's asking of you, or where you've needed to dig so deeply into yourself, or what you've needed to do to, prepare yourself, or to, acquire something. The work that goes on behind the scenes is immeasurable. And even though you might be faced with some sense of a challenge, or looking at the mountain that maybe stands, ahead of you, Capricorn reminds you that you have this resiliency, this fortitude, most importantly, this stamina, because you have been the one that has been that quiet, resilient force behind so much of what's happened in your life. And I think sometimes you just momentarily forget that perhaps you were the one that was holding it together, or it was your vision, or your empathy, or your energy in some way. And actually, this is going to be a really important time to be mindful of the fact that, energy is your fuel. Right? You build up your energetic stores by doing things that require consistency and commitment. You eat right, you rest well, you immerse yourself in places and experiences that enlighten you. You take time for your spiritual practices. You do the work, the healing. So all of this takes like a discipline and a diligence from you, right? And then there are those moments when you just give it away, like it almost costs you nothing, right? And it's that realization, I think, that this moon is going to show you that it's like, this is precious. This is sacred. This took a lot to get to a place where that boundary is in place, or the value of what you have in that energy. So, you're going to want to be really discerning about where you continue to sort of give it away or direct it places that ends up depleting you when it's been so hard won, right? That's an important sort of sign that comes through and really packs a punch, I think, for you around that full moon Capricorn. It's sort of exacerbated as we see Saturn going retrograde in Aries on the 12th. There's something that gets revealed around that time that feels a bit confusing for you. Okay, we've got the Seven of Cups, the moon, so maybe you hadn't anticipated it. There is this sort of revelationary energy very strong in July. Be mindful of just not instantly going into almost like a fear-based or anxiety-based response. Okay, don't let fear stop you. Remember, there's just a moment of expansion that's happening there in real time, and resistance that's trying to sort of prevent you from moving forward and finding the growth. We're all set tests, and Saturn likes to bring them thick and fast in a retrograde energy. And in Aries particularly, you're going to be looking at it from a sense of your personal autonomy. So maybe you'll feel like that's being challenged. Or under review. So there's something about the nature of that feels to you off, and you got to trust in the energetic experience that comes through with at the same time. Okay, but you're also going to learn something about doing it in a way that really serves you, not just in the here and the now, but in the longer term. Okay, so you're resetting a foundation somewhere. Okay, and that is a really important priority for you in the month of July, because that foundation is also going to be the thing that enables you to say yes to more opportunities as they surface. Okay, but it comes in by way of a sort of feeling like something is being either threatened or like not you're being threatened, but like a situation, something that, you'd worked for or you had in place that's being challenged in some way. Okay. And then you have to step up, you have to sort of, take charge, take control, and really think about lessons learned in your experience in the last few weeks and months. Okay. Now, the thing that's really beautiful about Cancer energy being a fellow water sign for you, and it puts us right back in touch with our gut feeling. And from an intuitive perspective, you can find this flow-like energy in July. And it's so powerful for you, Pisces, because it just means that you can almost like travel cosmically. Like it's like you can kind of hit on a wave of energy and it just carries you, right? And it takes very little effort and it just feels like it's aligning. And remember that rich creative spark that arrives in fifth house energy along with Uranus and Gemini. It's going to be like a real interesting unfolding. Your Knight of Swords is inviting you to take action in spite of where you feel there may be some confusion or uncertainty. And we know sometimes, especially with Mercury retrograde, which will arrive on the 17th, we'll have shadow in the first part of July anyway. There's that sort of haze of like, I'm not quite sure if this is accurate, I don't really want to commit, I'm not clear on this. And so of course there needs to be a mindfulness, but there's something about how energy with that Wheel of Fortune, what it does, and sort of it kind of throws you into a little bit of uncertainty and doubt, but then we've just got this need to respond and to find that flow and jump on that wave. Okay, you can do this, you must do this, is what I'm getting through in regards to something that surfaces for you around this time. You may have some self-doubt come up. Please don't let that be the thing that stops you. There's something that is ready and destined to work out for you in a really beautiful way. And it may arrive like a bit haphazardly in July in terms of the seeds or the beginning or the initiation or kind of what needs to happen to sort of put things in motion. But you'll feel compelled and pulled enough. And that's where we have to really sort of, look that fear directly in the eye and say, it's not going to be the thing that stops you. So we move into sixth house, into Leo energy. And, with Mercury already in the sign, the sun shifting into Leo on the 22nd and building up to the new moon on the 24th, we've got the King of Coins coming in. Everything about what happens for you in July is here to try to enable you to feel more secure in yourself, okay? To be able to project that energy authentically, to be able to understand the power of the currency of the energy that you have, and to be able to direct that energy swiftly and in this cosmic force that really propels you to where you're supposed to be. And Leo holds space for that courage and that bravery, but also that grounded, leveled wisdom that may come in via someone else. It could be an earth sign or just somebody that's really shaped by the experiences in their own life and has a maturity and a certain outlook that is really valuable for you actually at this time. Right? And so you'll set new intentions at that new moon in Leo, but they'll come from a place of being not just realistic because of that that Saturn influence, but also like, profoundly soulful and actually really visionary at the same time. So you strike a note with yourself where you're like, yeah, this feels good. Like this feels on the edge of feeling almost not possible. So I know I'm stretching myself enough, but I'm so grounded and leveled in it that I also know what it's going to take, because I think that's also what July is saying, right? And then the gut feel that's been so powerful and palpable, through Cancer season is just directing you 100% in the direction that your heart wants to take you. Now, we have Chiron going retrograde in Aries on the 30th. So we know that there's a healing component that we're going back over, and probably a lesson to sort of see that, we've really been doing the work in something, and maybe feeling a little bit triggered as perhaps something or someone comes back from the past and, stirs it up a little bit for us. However, the thing to remember is, again, that the most precious gift you have right now is your ability to give time and space to yourself and also to others or to a situation. So, you know, whatever it is that you're feeling, the processing, the acknowledgement needs to happen, but perhaps also the bravery to have the conversation or to dedicate some time to really find a way to make peace or to resolve or to do something that should have been done a long time ago. There is this sense of, am I coming? Am I going? I don't know what the hell is going on at times, right? We just have to embrace that as part of this sort of messy transitional period. In Leo season and 6th house, though, you know, you can find a great deal of respite in just redefining the practices and the daily routines that support you. And that goes back to understanding how you feel your own energy. You know, you might come together with someone. I also feel like there may be some sort of partnership or link up where maybe you're focused on something to the betterment of, you know, just putting structures and systems in place, okay? Somebody might be wanting to do the same, or maybe it's the person that's going to be helping or supporting you, but I have this kind of coming together energy in that toward the end of the month, and it really absolutely serves you. It's absolutely worth doing, even if it may feel like it doesn't have all of the shiny glitter, you know, wrapped around it. It's the thing that's going to help sustain and nourish you in this next season, and it really matters. I think for you, you know, there's an emotional tenderness, you know, that is on display, if you like, through Cancer season. It's very hard to not be moved by that as an energy, and you might find yourself like overly sensitive, and again needing to just you know, maybe take a step back and really think about, what do I need in this moment, and make sure that you're being that for yourself, but also communicating to those. Now, you may have a little lost in translation experience going on with somebody where you feel like they're just not able to show up or to respond in ways that just feel like it offers you any stability or security whatsoever. I suppose there's an invitation there to say, to what degree do we need to work on that for ourselves? So anything you feel is being held back from you, remember that Hanged Man is going to manifest in a number of ways. You know, what is it that we can do for ourselves? And remember, what I also said is that, you know, you might be trying to seek a sense of understanding from someone who doesn't even understand themselves at this moment. So, you know, there's also a reminder of that. Now, if you're new to the channel, the last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading, you can find the link in the comment section below. I hope you'll join me. It's a way for me to keep showing up to do the free readings. I really appreciate the support. We'll also look at a personal and a relationship card for you there. So I'm just going to go ahead and clarify and see the direction that will take that extended reading for you. We've got the 4 of Swords here and the 6 of Fire. There's definitely a sort of stepping back and almost like a quiet recharge and surrender into something. 7 of Cups, Queen of Fire, 6 of Earth. I like these 6s coming in for you this month. 2 of Swords, 7 of Wands, Temperance, and 2 of Earth. Definitely a timing issue kind of surfacing with regards to something. Please do check out romywiser.com if you're new to the channel, or if you've been with me for a while. You're going to find ways to connect with me for a one-to-one reading. Also, all my signature products, right? My deck, my journal, my book, all my meditations, my membership. You're also going to find out what I'm up to now. So there's new ventures coming online, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit more of my story and what's ahead. So make sure you're signed up to my newsletter or my socials, and you'll hear all about that. So let's just clarify with my deck, which is the Life Soul Vision Oracle. We've got Energy Conversations, Spirals of Love and Grief. There's our timing card again, Spirit Stag. Maverick of the Light, Dancer of the Shadows with that moon, something to face. Spirit Bear, Nourish Your Inner Wealth. That's that energy currency and the way that you are looking upon it. It's a big message this month, okay? And then we're going to look at one more oracle for Pisces. Let's have a look. What do we have for you? Oh, beautiful. The golden light ray, love and laughter, receiving and giving gifts, passionate projects. That's a special one. Thank you so much. Okay, Pisces, I hope you'll join me. I'm going to see you again next time. Take good care. Have a beautiful month ahead. Bye for now.